Marilyn, would you like to introduce the judge for tonight?
Okay. Well, I've known Nancy Ori for a long time. Um, I believe it was in the early 90s that she was a speaker at PWP at a time when I was very active there. And she she has done so much workshops, judging competitions. Uh, both workshops she used to give them in Cape May, and now she's she still has what do you she still has uh, a venue where she does it in New Jersey still, but she has also done uh, traveling workshops, and she's just one of the most experienced people that I know. And she sent us a list of the various workshops that she gives that can be either done as a long, like several-hour workshop, or done as a shorter presentation. And we will probably be going over those to see what we're interested in. So I'm very happy to present Nancy. And please say anything else you want us to know.
No, I think you did a very good job. I did have one thing I wanted to add to your before and after competition or whatever you want to call that. It would be really great if the people not only just talked about what they did, but why did they do it? That's when you learn more, it goes deeper to what did you see when you were capturing the image? How did you feel about it? And what did you do every step of the way through final post-processing to get what you wanted? That's the why. What's the story and how did you see it and how did you get there?
Right, right.
You
Thank
know,
you.
just from a teacher's perspective, it's not always just the technical buttons. In fact, the talk that Marilyn is referring to that I just did for the professional women photographers was called Beyond the Buttons. So
Okay, thank you.
you're interested in that, let me know. I do a lot of workshops still. I have one that's coming up very soon, March 1st. We had to cancel the first go around because of the snowstorm. But it's going to be an image transfer workshop if anybody's interested in that. It's going to be on Zoom, and we're going to be demonstrating 7 different techniques so that you can kind of choose which ones. And then I have a series of books on Amazon if anybody is interested in looking at that. Some of them are quite comprehensive. You just need to go to Amazon Books and type my name in. Those are the things that kind of get me excited these days. I will be taking a group tour to Scotland next spring in May, if anyone is interested. It's just absolutely awesome, the Isle of Skye and
Oh, wow, okay.
the landscape, the standing stones, if you're an Outlander fan, we're going to the place where they did the copies of the stones at Killinich. So pretty cool. I've been there before, and it's I want to go back. That's how great it was. Cool place. Love Scotland. So that's my story. 25 years in the corporate world, manager of video and photo services for Ciba-Geigy, and then it became Novartis Pharmaceuticals. So photography has kind of been my whole shtick. I live it, breathe it, teach it. do it all the time. So it's
Hmm.
that's my story. Okay, so let's
Okay.
look at some images.
Okay, first we have a quick run through. We'll look at each image about 5 seconds so you and everybody else can see what's in the running. We have 97 images tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go through the first run through and then I'll explain what we expect of you during the second run through when we ask you for your comments and your score.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
let's share this. Now just watch. And when we go through the second run through, that's when you'll critique and score. Okay, that's the first run through. We're now going to go through a second time more slowly and give you an opportunity to critique the image. You can say anything you want about it. Just remember that there's a theme tonight, and that's blue, the color blue. Uh, we didn't define how much of the image has to be blue or what color blue it has to be, just the color blue. You can take that into consideration while you're judging the images. You also have to think about composition and technique and whether it's an interesting or exciting image, how it hits you or strikes you. Um, and then you have to give it a score. A is a superior image, B is an average image, and C is an image which needs more work. There's no curve. You can give as many A's, B's, or C's as you feel is necessary. Um, and then after that, we're going to go through the A images and ask you to pick out the really top ones and one image of the month. Any questions, Nancy?
Nope.
Okay, let's start with image number one.
Well, I would have to say it's terribly pixelated. Um, I think the composition is interesting. I always love diagonals. It helps you, your eye move around the frame. Having that bright post top on the far right takes my eye out of the frame. You need to be careful of stuff like that, putting something with such contrast right at an edge. Certainly the color blue is there. I like the way that, you've handled that nice spot of sunshine there. So compositionally, I think you're doing fairly well. But I'm not clear as to what's going on with all of those pixels. Technically, it brings the whole thing down and throws it out of focus. I would have to give this a C.
Yes, one.
Nice and sharp. I like the way you've included the reflection within the frame and the trails in the water. We still have some room for the bird to keep moving forward, but it is a little centrally located for me compositionally. I do like the way it's just water. We're not complicating the story at all, seeing more background and so forth. Nice and sharp. A good, it's a really nice find, and you happen to be standing in the right place, I think. I would give this a B. This is kind of interesting in that it almost looks like it was shot at the wrong white balance because I kind of want to see the tree being uh, green. So I do find that a little disturbing. I don't mind all of the blue, but I want to see more color on the tree itself. It just looks like you put a blue filter over this. Um, Compositionally, it's okay. You're almost in the center, so it's almost symmetrical. I might have done something a little different, including more of the people getting down where the people are, shooting up at the tree. But to me, the tree is the focal point of the picture, and it's lacking in the color that we kind of want it to be. Um, I would give this a B.
Let me interrupt. Somebody seems to be using their computer to draw on the screen. Please turn that off and erase the lines that you put on there already. Okay, let's move on.
Yep. Not a lot of blue here. Certainly it's very subtle, but it's there. It's a blue-gray, kind of purpley gray. I like the repetition, the pattern that's happening here. It's helping my eye to move around in the frame, to kind of swirl. And it gives a nice soft feeling. And, you know, I talk a lot about how the picture feels to me, which is something new, it seems, to some camera clubs. But, you know, to me, it needs to give us information about how you felt when you saw this and when you composed it. I think, you know, compositionally, how you framed it looks good, and I would give it a B. This is a nice piece. It's a little disjointed in that I feel like there's some tension going on because the boats are probably the most interesting thing in the frame. And yet, because of the contrast, I'm being drawn over to the right-hand side to that bush. So I kind of keep jumping back and forth. I think moving your position, your point of view here to either the boats or the bush would have been much more effective, and I would have gone towards the boats because I think texture-wise, shape-wise, they're pretty interesting to work with, to get down on that dock and, you know, and include the boats in the foreground as your main subject. I'm also a little curious about the horizon line, if that's looks a little unsteady here. Um, I would give it a B. I'm not real sure where the blue is here. It's kind of maybe blue-green across the bottom there a little bit. I do like it as a texture. I'm not sure that it fulfills nearly as nicely as some of the other images in this particular category. If the subject is supposed to be blue, I'm not getting it. I would give this a C. Just because you're not, you know, you're not following the instructions. And, you know, we all have thousands of images on our phones and in our computers, and you just need to look carefully and follow the instructions. Um, you know, this is a cute snapshot, if you will. Certainly blue is the theme. I might have cropped much tighter to just include the three people, because who cares about the shoes and the guy in the background and what's going on there. Okay, so we've got lines for the duration, it would seem. Um, I would give this a C. I think you could do better. Really nice, moody piece. You know, I get the nighttime feeling. Maybe even the blue makes it feel colder. The way that you've handled the lighting here is very nice. The figure is perfect. in the right spot. I would give this an A. Here's another one where I would crop to the head and the hands. Forget all of that extra stuff. Um, but I think that you found something really quite interesting. I love his hands, his face. It's almost like I can hear the flute. It's kind of weird, you're looking at a photograph, but it has an audio track that kind of goes with it. But I think severe cropping would have enhanced this and really given it a lot more impact and power. I would give this a B. Another one, too much foreground stuff that's not really adding anything to the photograph. To me, it's about her smile, the hat, the face, not even the hands because they're out of focus from her moving. So again, a severe crop, if the image is capable of handling something like that, I think you could have done much better and talk to the people, work with the people, walk forward, get rid of all of the extra junk, try to start controlling what you're shooting. I don't know if this is in a foreign country or just, a cultural image from here, but I think you could have communicated better with the person and worked the scene, make it work. I would give this a C. This is a little weird. I don't know that I've ever seen a blue lobster. Um, Interesting for sure. Very strong diagonal to separate the two spaces, the colorful background from the actual subject. Another one that, I may have shot around it a bit more, gotten real close to the claw and shot up at the face, if you will, um, to just give it some more drama, some more impact, if you will. I would give this a B. Love the detail on this, and for sure the blue is really working. It's the subject of this picture with the little red spot on the nose, great depth of field to we're not even going there because there's nothing really sharp for us to look at. I probably just would have lightened the eye a teeny bit more because we want to look at the eyes always on whatever kind of living thing it is. I would give this an A. I think it's beautifully seen. I hope you didn't give that a 3. um,
No, three stars means A.
oh, okay, good. Um, some very so slight diagonals happening here, one of which is the horizon line is not straight and the foreground line is going in the other direction, which, maybe in a way it helps us kind of appreciate his balancing act that he's doing here. I'm taking exercise lessons for balance. So I kind of really appreciate that story. Uh, his position, a third of the way in from the right-hand side is good. The horizon line is good. He's nicely balanced, or the sand is nicely balanced with the group of buildings in the background. Um, I'm not real sure what the story is, and I would give it a B. Now, to me, the subject of this picture is orange and not blue. So right there and then, there's something that's not working for me. Um, the diagonals, I guess, kind of help the eye move around, interesting textures. We all love rust. I think you probably could have worked some more with the rust, or that, if you wanted to do blue, work with the blue peeling wall there. Um, but I don't think that this is really working. I would give it a C. Interesting point of view. It's good that you included that sign. It kind of helps, give us a focus as to what's going on here. I like the combination of the tan with the blue. It's almost complementary colors, which kind of helps that blue seat to pop a little bit more. Point of view certainly is really the theme here. I would give it a B. I love the curves and the patterns of the curves that, help me kind of flutter through the right-hand side of the image. Nice diagonal, of those shapes. I would love to see one of those B-22s or whatever those big flat black airplanes are that we have now that you see everywhere coming up out of the ground. That would have been really cool, to be in the sky there. Because I'm not, again, it's one of those things. Is it about the clouds? Is it about the curved iron shapes? There's kind of a tension almost between the two as to what's really the subject here. I'm thinking it's, for me, it's where the contrast lies, because your eye is always going to go to the place in the picture where there's the most contrast, and that's going to be your iron fencing material that's here. I would give it a B. I just wish they were pointing at something. This would make a kind of cool panorama picture. Um, Not so sure it's that great as a big rectangle when the interesting part is just a ribbon across the middle. I kind of like that you saw this though, and that, you could see that there was something interesting happening with these figures. But we could do without so much sky for sure, and the flare, even though blue is the topic. The sky is part of the subject here. it's not just a blue sky, it's actually aiding in creating the figures for us. I would give it a B. These guys are so cool. I love going to aquariums, and I could just sit there all day and watch them float around. Again, it gives you that kind of soft feeling. Um, I'm not necessarily getting that from this one, however. It's kind of an unusual shape for a jellyfish. I would give it a B. This is fun. I have no idea what it is, where it is, doesn't really matter. Um, I like that you saw it or you created it somehow, but you captured it. I kind of like really what's happening in the upper left corner with the squares. It gives a little more interest to the background. But I like that you saw this and you were able to capture it with a good exposure. I would give this an A for starters. Interesting mood happening here. There is some warmth in the foreground and almost like a yellow, uh, very pale yellow happening. Some nice diagonals, textures. Certainly the contrast of the branches is drawing me right into the piece. I like that you saw this and you took some time to figure it out. I might have gone with a square and gotten rid of most of the right-hand side of the piece because that long tree that's there, the taller tree, is dragging me over there, and it's kind of the right-hand side is not really necessary in this piece. I would give it a B. Fun piece. You could almost hear them shouting and screaming. We've all seen this, but I think a really nice capture, nice contrast of complementary colors here with the blue. I don't feel that the blue is the subject of the image, however, but I think it's very well captured and composed. And the texture of the clouds in the background really kind of help give us some support for a very dominant man-made story happening there. I would give this an A. I think it's nice, and I like the vignetting that you did also. Very calm, serene feeling to this. I know what was happening with that branch up above, but it's the sharpest thing in the picture and has the most contrast. So it's kind of fighting the bridge, that clump of branches hanging down in the middle there. I might have moved around a little bit to move that branch story out of the middle. I think if you had moved a bit to the right, you'd still be able to center the bridge and maybe put that branch over to the left. I would give it a B. Has a nice feel to it, though. Well, I think we can all kind of relate to this at this moment. Blacktop with snow. Um, Again, it's, it wants to be symmetrical, but it's just a hair off. I probably would crop it to a square. I don't find it to be terribly interesting, however. Maybe you could work more with the abstract quality of the texture of the blue and the black pavement better to create an interesting abstract. I would give it a C. Nice candid portrait. Unfortunately, my eye is going right to the sink. And once you see the sink, you can't stop looking at it. It's almost the brightest thing in the picture. Again, some cropping, dramatic cropping. The background isn't helping this guy's portrait at all. Moving just a hair to your right, you could have eliminated the sink. Um, it's not just taking pictures of what, you think is the dominant element. You've got to look beyond and see what's in the background. And, if this is a true environmental portrait, then how is that background relating to the person? How is that background saying something else about this person, supporting the communication that you're trying to make here? He's got a really nice face, but that sink is just glaring back at me. I can't not see it, and we can't really successfully crop the whole thing out. I would give it a C. I'm sorry, because I think he looks good, but you needed to work harder at the capture time. This is pretty cool. I like how you cropped it. Interesting, to see it in the cell phones, but nice light. Even the sky is kind of a navy blue color. I would give it a B. Certainly blue. You just caught him great under the chin there, and very powerful shot for sure. And I love that he's not grinning or laughing or whatever. It takes this picture to kind of a different level. And of course, the eyes are fantastic. I would give this an A. Definitely blue is the subject. Nice diagonals. I think it's good. You can see the blue sky, which gives a different tone. Blue. The vignetting is helping to hold me into the picture. I might have lightened up each of those light bulbs. so that they all look like they're on. Some of them look like they're on. Um, that just add a little more sparkle. But the diagonals are what this is all about, and those layers of blue. I would give this an A. I like that you saw this. This has a very mysterious kind of feeling to it. Maybe a double exposure, reflection in glass. The fact that the figure, we can't really tell who it is. The open door gives us a little dream kind of quality to this. And um, the blue, I think, in this particular case, the blue really helps with the story. He's looking to my left. There's another door there. You could kind of make a story out of this. Everybody, when you look at photographs, you all bring your own baggage to a photograph, and I don't mean baggage as a negative, of course. It's our life experience, and so we would all look at this and maybe come up with different stories, and that's kind of the fun, I think, of a piece like this, that there's enough elements in it to work with. I would give this an A. I think it's nicely seen and captured. Well, certainly an interesting mermaid. And the use of blue is quite strategic. A fun piece for sure. To me, I look at stuff like this, the pride parades and the mermaid parades. They're all filled with kind of crazy people and crazy scenes, and not really to be taken very seriously. To tell you the truth, I almost would, again, another one of those things where I would crop out actually most of the blue, and just get her hair, that contrast in the yellow with the black lines through it, and the huge eyelashes and the expression on her face. We don't need the background. We don't need the blue starfish even. To me, it's all about that crazy face. Um, I would give it a B. You get points for just going there and suffering through it. Love this. Love that blue. Oh my gosh. And the diagonals, the repetition of the black steps with the black railing and the curly cues of the iron. The addition of that beige stripe at the top really helps to kind of just add another element of interest for me. And of course, we love walls that are peeling and so forth. The fact that you cropped into this, that you saw this and composed it in this way, I think is where this one kind of shines for me. I would give this an A. Less is more here for sure. There's another one where the horizon looks like it's kind of tipping. I like the boat, and I think the boat is kind of an important focal point here. I wish there was more information underneath it so it wasn't so close to the edge. And I probably would have gotten rid of that white disc on the top just because, again, it's pulling my eye up there. I'm not even sure, if there was more information underneath the boat, I would go back and get it, if it's on the image and include it. And I probably would have cropped a major part of the top off because to me, it's about the diagonal of the wave. And the wave looks considerably larger than that little boat, frankly, which to me is kind of the interesting part of this picture. So, I don't know that you really need most of the upper half of this photograph. So, just because it's in the frame doesn't mean you have to keep it. I would give this I think a C. Sorry. Needs a lot of work. Now, I get the idea there's some blue on the tail, but I don't think that this really solves the theme for the evening just because it has a blue background and a bit of blue on the tail. The main part of the bird is white in the beak and the beige on the head. Um, it's nicely seen and composed. But it's failing on your theme for the evening. I would give this a C. As opposed to this one, that's totally with the theme. And, I love the background is not even there, but it's a color that really works nicely with the bird, helps that blue really pop so that the feeling is cool. It's on the cool side of the color wheel. There's some nice space for the bird to look into. I really hate it when people mask out something like this and they put in a plain flat background. You may have done that with this, but it's not a flat background. It's got some tonality to it and some depth to it. So you have a feeling that it's real, whether it is or not, kind of doesn't really matter. But I think this is really well done. I would give this an A. I always like this sort of thing. I like old stuff. I think you could have done a lot more with contrast to really make that whole handle pop more. Um, it's kind of blah because the brightness value of the handle and the blue of the door are pretty much the same. If you were to convert this to a black and white, it would really be like blah. So you've got to do something here to change that contrast value. Um, either darken the blue or lighten the handle, put some highlights on the handle by just dodging and burning. I would give it a C. I think you could have worked that a whole lot more in post. Wonderful feeling to this again. Like I feel calm just looking at her. Um, I see that you've done a reverse vignette here so that the corners are light. I'm not sure that that really helps. Maybe on the top of the image it helps, but it's bothersome on the lower left corner, and even the lower right corner. So I would just burn that in a little bit. But her skin, her expression is just so calm, and I like that little curl that you caught of her hair at her neck. And just enough red. It's not overdone red. That helps bring me certainly right to her face. I would give this an A. I think it's really nicely seen. He looks like a complainer. I'm not sure what's happening with the tail. It looks really blurry compared to the whole rest of the image. Almost like it's up against something flat and there's a shadow. Um, Certainly blue is happening here, in your shadows on the black. We've got the blue feathers. He's got room to look into. I would give this a B. I'm not exactly sure what this is. Interesting. The way the lighting is, is it's about the light that's on the object itself, but also the light that it's projecting onto the background. Here's another one where I think it could be a square. The whole left-hand side of the image is unnecessary. And we certainly know what we're supposed to be looking at here. Nice impact, terrific contrast. I think technically well handled, could be difficult to deal with something that bright against a background that's that dark. I would give it a B. Fun snapshot, if you're, I don't know if this is a foreign country, kind of looks that way, and you want to photograph the people there, having them grinning at the camera does not create any kind of fine art looking photograph. So when I say snapshot, that's what this looks like to me. Some action with the ball bouncing. I would give it a B. There's another one where I may have cherry picked some people and just zoomed in on them. The building in the background is taking up a third of the picture, and it has nothing to do with the story. So, like some of these faces, the woman, I'm assuming she's clapping or something, right in the center. The guy with the no dice, no ice. There's something very cool about his eyes, and that's all we can really see. I would be pulling out images from something like this to make actually a stronger statement, because when it's really bold and in your face, you're capturing something that's different than the mob scene. You know, everybody's getting the wide angle shot. You watch these videos and everybody's got a cell phone camera they're waving around. But nobody's going to be getting portraits, of protesters or insurrectionists or whatever you want to call these people. Um, I think you could have done more with this instead of just doing a snap of a bunch of people. Again, it comes down to really working the scene. If you're really there to do photography that's meaningful. I'd give it a B. I think you could take this picture and make probably 2 or 3 pictures out of it. Love the light in this. It's all about the lighting of the painting in the foreground, the window, light on the floor, the diagonals, the structure of this fits the square. The square kind of shape repeats the squares in the painting. I think, it looks to me like you spent some time framing this up and ultimately cropping it the way that you wanted it. I would give this an A. I think it's nicely handled for sure. Well, it's blue, but your subject is not blue. But I guess we'll take it. It's a beautiful blue for sure. And of course we love, the textures and the weathering. And the fact that he's sleeping is kind of cool. The tail is drooping down. And he's not right smack in the middle of the picture. We come in on the left and we slide right over to the dog because of the contrast and the fact that we always want to look at things that have eyes. I would give this an A. Not sure where the blue is here. I love the feeling that it has. I might have tried to work some blue toning into the scene for tonight, and I'm not sure what those white streaks are in the middle. They almost look like helicopters. I would have fixed them. I would give it a C. It needs blue, it needs fixing. I like that you saw it and you were able to get it. But you really needed to do more with it for the theme for tonight. This one too could just use a little more saturation to kind of perk it up a little bit. We all have these for sure. And, it needs to pop if it's going to work. And, it needs to be a little different than what we've all already done with something like this. I would give it a C. This is kind of weird. Kind of fun. Again, it almost falls into that snapshot realm. Um, almost looks a little cartoony. You know, we want to read things. It's who we are. We want to look at numbers. We want to look at letters and read stuff. So I kind of miss the fact that the guy was there on the right while I'm reading about the New York City subway and I'm looking at the hand with the crab and oh, there's actually a person in this picture. Uh, I might have cropped this so that the numbers aren't in it. The New York City subway sign is not in it, and just a piece of the lobster and a part of the arm, because to me, he's the subject of the picture. But you've got all of these distractions going on here, including the grin. You know, again, the grinning story to me doesn't work in a fine art picture. It works in a snapshot. So if we want to relegate this to a snapshot, then it's, you know, it's doing its job. But I like him. I like the pose. But he's taking second place to all of this other busyness. That I think the picture's there, but it just needs to be cropped better. How are we doing time-wise?
I'm sorry, Nancy, what was the score on that last image?
For B?
B.
A B? B as in boy, thank you.
Yeah.
You can speed it up a little bit, Nancy.
Okay. Again, we have some tension between these two people. Even though one is not facing us, we can see part of his profile, and he's actually further away, but he's bigger than the guy that's in the foreground. So there's kind of some tension between the two figures that I'm not sure that that's what you wanted, you know. We've got a lot of sky. You know, if it was about the guy with the red cane, then I would make it about the guy with the red cane. Um, but the story is kind of disjointed. I would give it a C. Again, working with the people you're shooting. This has a nice feel to it, you know, a nice sun setting, dusk, a lot of diagonals, mostly silhouettes, which, you know, certainly push you to look at the brightest item in the picture. I can see that you looked at your cropping a little more carefully than just accepting a rectangle. I would give this a B. This is really interesting. You know, I don't know what end is up, what's real, what's reflected, you know, until you really start studying this. But the curves in the kind of goldy beigey color there is really a nice complementary color to the blues and all of those diagonals. You know, we know it's a structure, it's a real building, but it has an abstract quality to it that I think is really working very nicely. I would give this an A. Now this looks like it's inside the same building. Again, you know, interesting angles, certainly diagonals, curves, not as interesting as the exterior. I would give this a B. It's kind of predictable, you know. The black lines on this I find to be a little curious. I mean, they were there, but in a way, it kind of camouflages almost what this is, because I get caught up in the contrast of, following the lines with the brighter background. I like that you cropped it to a square. It certainly lends itself to that. I would give it a B. Another pixelated piece. I think it had potential to be an interesting shot, looking up at all of these amazing buildings with the reflections and diagonals. But the pixelation really just messes it up. I would give it a C. Um, I like that the flags are actually taking up the blank, that negative blue space that's there. Probably the blending of the two images is what makes this work. Cropping into it a little bit more, I'm thinking probably helped it some. I would give it a B. Nice color contrast between the building and the blue. This just feels incredibly cold, which of course is what the blue is doing for this. An evening, like a cold evening, and you're going out to your car and you got to scrape all that stuff. It's kind of a horrible thought, actually. I think it's working. What I'm really liking is how the snow is adhering to the windows and the side of the car. I might have zoomed in and worked some more with that and created an abstract of some sort. But it is giving me a feeling for this particular evening, and that's working. So I'll give it a B. I like the little fence in the foreground. Well, I'm not exactly sure what this is, um, other than ice and maybe a glacier or something. It looks a bit soft and kind of pixelated to me. And I have to tell you, I got my cataracts done 2 months ago, and everything in my life is sharp as tack now. I'm blown away at how many wrinkles I have. Didn't see them before. Um, yeah, there's something not. I mean, the composition I think is really very cool. With the bright background and almost looks like a wave, and I get that cold feeling from it, but there's something that's not really sharp about this at all. I would give it a C.
What was the grade on that? Can you hear me,
Yeah, it's
Nancy?
A C.
The internet's frozen.
Uh-oh, what do we do now?
I think maybe it's unfrozen now. But
That
so
was a C.
was that a C?
Yes,
This one?
yes.
Can someone tell me what number 48 score was? I missed that one.
48 was B.
Let's go, just go on.
Okay. Um, I like the colors here. Doesn't really, it's got patterns of the green. I think you could have zoomed in more and given us a crisper looking image. Seems like what's further away is sharper. I would give it a C. This is a fun piece. It has an abstract quality to it, and yet we know exactly what it is. The blue is the most dominant color here. I might have just cropped in a little tighter. Again, maybe a square would have been more effective. I don't know that you need all of that white support information. I would give this a B. Um, fun tour guide kind of a picture here. Class trip. Everybody's got their blue shirt on. That's kind of fun. It's a picture that needs to be really big. And, I don't know that you need the whole upper half of the photograph. You would come in much faster to the kids without all of that stuff. Because frankly, they're not looking at the trees or the buildings. They're looking at that circus kind of background. I would give it a C. Presentation is important. Well, it's blue. It sort of looks like, an advertising photo. Something to remember as far as, what the times are for whatever. I don't know that it's a picture that you would enter into a competition, frankly. I would give it a C. Cool guy. The blue skin tone is a little weird. I might not have done the whole thing blue like that. The background looks a little fake, but it's working to kind of separate him from the busyness of the background. But if you've got Lightroom or something, I would, or Photoshop, I would bring back some flesh tone on the arms and the face. And maybe even if those are potatoes or I don't know what they are floating in the water there. And just let the rest of it kind of go blue. But he looks very odd to me. I do like it as an environmental portrait. I love that he's not grinning, at the camera. He's working. You've got enough information for us to see that he's a working person. Composition is good. I would give it a B. This is a very interesting feeling to it. I get the sense that I'm standing in the sun, but I'm looking at something very mysterious happening with clouds into the distance. Another one of those where I don't know that you need the whole top half of the picture, because it's all about the silhouettes of those trees and the textures. I would give it a B. The sky looks a little fake. I do like that we're looking through buildings. We're getting a sense that we're kind of immersed in these structures. I like all of the rectangles of all of the windows, window frames. And the patterns kind of help me to noodle around in the frame. I would give it a B. Now, this is one where you could have really brought out a lot more blue in those central stones and kept that beigey orange color, which would have really made the whole thing pop. So just a little more saturation through these would have helped it dramatically. I like I know what it is, but it has an abstract look about it. I would give it a B. I think you could do a lot more with that. And then it would be an A. Nice symmetry here. I feel the cold. It gives me a lot to kind of look at, to even, check out what's the difference between the two doors. I play a game every night where I'm looking at two pictures and trying to figure out what's different in them. And it's kind of happening here, but what it's doing is creating a lot of tension. So my eye is jumping back and forth, which keeps me moving. I think the fact that it's very symmetrical, even with the lanterns and the central windows as well, really helps it. So, even though there's tension, maybe the tension helps to hold this all together. I would give this a B. This is a great find. Love this piece. They're working the boats, the patterns, textures, a little bit of red in the foreground. Just that round ball thing to kind of break it up a little bit. But having the people gives you something for the eye to really move around. And the contrast between some of the beigey orange items and the blue gives you that complementary color contrast. I would give this an A. Great find. There's another one with a lot of tension. I'm not sure which one I'm supposed to be looking at, so my eye is jumping back and forth past the blue, because I don't think the blue is really the subject of the picture here. It's all of these diagonals and textures and lines that they're the elements. They're the basis of this photograph. So the blue is kind of just there. I would give it a C. It's kind of not really dealing with the subject for the evening, I don't think. Another one, the subject of this picture are the two figures, not the background. I think it's an interesting photograph. complementary colors again with the orange against the blue. I like the kind of the classic S curve of the standing figure, circle, the cropping. I guess I would give it a B, but the background is not really the blue I think we were looking for. But it's nicely seen. Little too much foreground here. That's too bright. You know, obviously the subject of the picture, the two blue lines, and the walkway in the foreground is really very distracting. If you crop that off, then that big flat plane and whatever lights are underneath it become too distracting. I would give it a B. Very abstract piece. The use of the blue here is really working, especially with the sky. But it also has blue within this tunnel tower or whatever it is. I might have darkened the lower left corner, but I think this is working really. A bit of the bottom. I would give this an A. I love that you saw this and made it work. Something kind of funny is happening to this, and I don't exactly know what, but it kind of has a pixelated look to it, and yet it's sharp, so it's just a little odd. It almost looks fake. I think it's a strong composition. You know, it has a lot of impact. The darkness of the green in the back really makes the bird pop forward. I would give this a B. I think you missed the theme for the evening. 'Cause I'm not really seeing much blue here. You could have maybe enhanced some of that background blue. I like the image, but I don't know that it fits the theme certainly as nice as many of the other ones that we've seen already tonight. I would give it a C. Some blue. I don't know, maybe you could crop this even a little tighter on the top and the right and on the bottom too, to even, you know, like just make him a little more impactful, which, you know, would eliminate a lot of the color that we're not talking about tonight and kind of enhance the blue hat and blue gray jacket. I think the profile needs to have some work to help separate it from the background. Maybe soften the background a little bit more, just so because it's all about his face, you know, and his face is almost blending into these stones. I would give it a B. Okay, now we've now we got it. This is working really nicely. It's kind of an iconic image, if you will. We've certainly seen this many times. Um, I would still give it an A, even though it's kind of been done. It's done nice. This is an interesting little piece. Close up, love the textures. The orange against the blue. We could have done without those 3 white dots. I probably would have cloned them out. My eye's going right to those dots because they're the brightest thing in the picture, and you want me to go to the orange little pumpkin shaped thing. I would give it a B. Really emotional feeling to this. Moody, even maybe a little depressing. But has a great feeling that you were able to capture and share with us. I would give this an A. Everything's working here. Good crop. Another crazy person. Again, we don't need the signage coming out of her head. I would crop right to the face, get rid of the background. We don't need any of that stuff. Her face and part of the hat certainly has enough for us to deal with here. I would give it a B, even though she's grinning. It's a snapshot, you know. Kind of looks like Chihuly. Nice composition. I probably would lighten that star, that pink star that's there. It seems to be like the focal point of the piece, and it's dull by comparison. You have to also be careful about photographing somebody else's artwork. Just my feeling. If you're going to enter it into a competition or exhibition or something, it's not your art, unless you really abstract it so that I don't know that it's Chihuly or one of his disciples. But it has a nice abstract quality to it. I would probably give it a B. It's a fun piece. I might have done something different with the figures, so we're not looking at this person's butt. Put them in the mouth somehow, get them walking away. I think there's a lot here to work with. It's all about the light and the shapes. That I think you could have worked this really a whole lot more than this. I would give it a C. Not really sure what's happening here. Almost looks like a dishwasher with some champagne glasses. Actually, that might be what it is. It has an interesting feel to it, which, certainly makes me kind of guess, what's going on here. But there's nothing sharp enough to really grab my attention. I would give it a C. I don't know that this is successful. Nice motion shot. Good cropping. Certainly has impact. The skirt takes over the composition more so than, the smallness of her face and arms. I'll give it a B. Nice textures, has a painterly kind of feel to it. I like the contrast again between the blue and the orangey gold. Strong impact. I would give it an A. This might have been more effective if it had really been centered properly. It's just off kilter enough to kind of make it not work. Um, I applaud the effort, but not the result, unfortunately. Um, I would give it a C. Well, we certainly know who that is. To it almost looks like it was a film scan, which is fine. You could soften that a bit, which would maybe make the statue pop a little bit more. She also looks a little cockeyed. I'll give it a B. Great capture. And I love that the eye and the head is sharp. We know that it's moving, it's flying, it's fluttering, and we can excuse the blur. And in fact, the blur helps us, understand what's going on. The green mottled background is working really great. I would give this an A. It's kind of a mysterious, almost looks like maybe a movie set of some sort. Um, the water in the back helps the figure really stand out. It's just kind of a strange subject, kind of a strange image. A little surreal, maybe, is a better word than strange. Um, I'll give it a B. Positive negative space here is pretty interesting. The blue is really a beautiful blue, and just those silhouettes interacting, little tension between the two. Um, your eye, because they're the same size, your eye just keeps jumping back and forth. I like that you put them in a square. You got rid of a lot of extraneous information that we really didn't need. I would give this an A. I think it's nicely thought out. Beautiful lighting. Really love this. I love that you saw it and that you took the time to make a photograph. The textures, the symmetry of it all. We have curves and curves and curves. Um, the softness of the lights your vignetting pushes us, keeps us in the frame. Ansel used to call that edge burn. I don't know if anybody mentioned, but I did study with Ansel Adams many, many moons ago. Yeah, he used to call this edge burn. Beautiful blue. Definitely an A. Love that you saw this. And you were able to capture it exposure-wise. It's really nice. Nice piece. Looks like an interesting place. I might have lightened the background a little bit more to show those trees, make it even a little more mysterious. And I wish you had waited until the people got further away. But other than that, I think it was a really interesting find and looks like it was probably a fun evening. I'll give it a B. Interesting. This is like adjacent to a farmer's market of some sort. It's a very curious photograph, almost comical, really, with the potatoes at $3 a pound. Again, kind of a snapshot. It's not really making some huge statement here for me, other than that I'm confused as to why it's happening at a farmer's market with these crazy outfits. I would give it a C. Cool diagonal, certainly repetition of shapes. I like that you got rid of extra stuff with your cropping. I think it certainly fits your blue theme very well. I would give it a B. Fun piece, technical piece. Composition is nice. I like that little squiggle in the foreground. How the ripples, are encircling our focal point. I'll give it an A for effort. Not sure where the blue is. I think because it's in shadow, you certainly could have found more blue in there. But just because to me, it doesn't fit the theme. I think it's an interesting photograph compositionally, but it doesn't really fit the theme. So I would give it a C. Looks like this guy is dive bombing. Kind of fun. It could be brighter. Could have a lighter, sort of airier feel to it. I would give it a B. Cute, certainly blue everywhere. Nice composition. I'd probably crop tighter. It's about the kid, not about all that blue plastic stuff. I give it a B. It certainly can feel the flow. You probably even could have gotten some more blue out of this. I like those textures. I give it a B. This is one of those that sort of needs to be really big or really small with a couple of other ones in some sort of a grid pattern. I think it's working. It certainly feels very calm to me. It's a nice color blue. It's not garish in any way. The blue gray has a calm feeling that it's giving me good use of the rule of thirds. I'll give it a B. Looks like a fun piece. Nice textures, certainly repetition of all of those blue shapes as well as the house shapes gives nice patterns happening throughout and a nice balance between the foreground and the background. You know, it's about the blue boats for me. It's not, even though the houses are bright and, you know, and popping out of the blue sky there, it's really about the blue boats. And I would give it a B. I guess blue hair counts, right? Fun snapshot. Not really much more than that. Um, certainly has the blue. I give it a C. Interesting flooring for sure. Has an abstract quality to it. Those wiggly lines are taking me right to the legs, to the people, you know, probably a dance place, you know, floor would probably make me go crazy, but it's working, certainly for the blue. Uh, I would give it a C.
See?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
We-
just give.
I have 22.
22 A's.
Same
Okay.
here.
Oh, I must have missed one. Okay.
All right, Nancy, we're
I
gonna
don't know how to,
separate the A's.
Okay.
I will. I don't know how I got on this workspace.
Where are the images?
I don't know.
All right.
All right. Actually, I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute
And go back.
and go back in.
Good idea.
When in doubt, reboot. The story of our lives.
Oops. Okay, let's see. All right, just give me a minute. All right. We're good.
Don't stress.
No, I don't. They're kind of cool. The problem is that we have, these are not these images. Wait a minute. our internet connection is not stable, so it doesn't help anything. Okay, good. All right.
I found my miscount. I'm with you on 22.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, okay. And now what are we gonna do? We're gonna look at the A's.
Yes.
All right, so let me go. All right, let's go back to share.
We have 22 A's, Nancy.
Great.
We need you to pick out as many or as few as you like that deserve honors, ones that are really stand out to you.
Okay, and then there's one.
After that, we'll pick one for the image of the month.
Got it.
Okay.
So
Do you want to see them
you
all?
want to see them one at a time and then you'll say honors or no?
If you can fill the screen with the 22,
Okay, let's
we
see
can
if
look
I
at
could do
them
that window.
all at once.
Space. Light table.
Can you see all of
You
them?
see them?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, good.
Now, can the image for the night be also one of the,
Yes.
Okay.
You'll choose the image of the month from any ones you choose honors for.
got it.
All right, let's start with number 8, honors or no honors?
Show that image.
She wanted to see them
Well,
all.
no, it's easier for me to see them in relation to each other,
Okay.
like on the light box this way. Um, can I just narrate it instead of you saying this one, this one, this one? I would give an honor to the monkey.
Could we have the number?
Number 12.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, cool. Also number,
Just wait a minute. Okay,
also number 21.
okay. Whoops, wait a minute.
They're going away.
Were you giving that baby an honors? Because I
Um,
gave it an honors.
yeah, I would.
Okay,
So
so
as
that
as
one,
we as we
that
do
one.
that, they're going away. Is that what's happening?
Yes, because they're being resorted to having
Got it. Okay,
fourth, then they become 4 stars instead of 3.
got it. So let's give an honors to number 33.
So excuse me, was number 26 got honors? The
Yes.
baby? Yes, and then number 33,
Correct.
thank you.
Number 35. They were all so good. It's kind of hard. 47. 63. 67. And 85.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, you gave 10 honors images. Now we'll put those
Just put them up all
on the
together.
light table.
Right.
Okay.
Then we
Make it a
want
little bigger.
Just a second.
your slider bar at the bottom.
Yeah, I know, but
It's covered
it's
by the
being
picture.
covered by the
Okay.
Yeah, there you go, right
the
there.
Zoom thing. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
So now you have to pick one image of the month.
One. Okay, number 85. Love it. Beautiful. But the others are really terrific too.
Okay, now we'll go back to the other workspace. And Chuck, what do you do now?
Let the A's first.
All right. I don't. Well, I don't know where to put this. Very annoying.
Okay.
Okay. So
And A is awarded to image number 8, Foggy Night by Richard Borowski. Richard, you want to say anything? Is Richard here?
Marlene, you're muted.
Richard, you're muted. Do you want to say something? He is here, but he's muted.
All right, we'll move along. Number 27.
And A goes to Blue Canopy by Doris King.
Yes, that was just taking a little restaurant off of the water in Queens.
Can't hear you.
That was just taken at a little restaurant off of the water in Queens. I can't recall the restaurant at this time.
And A for A Grand Entrance by Hetty Klein.
I was in a street level office looking through glass into the vestibule, and the guy came in. And I did it in color, then I converted it. But I loved all the reflections and things going on.
Me too.
And
Number
A
30.
for number 30, Stairway by Natalie Manzino.
That was taken in Morocco in Chefchaouen, the Blue City. And I just happened to like the simplicity and the angle.
And A, number 40, Walls by Michael Schleif.
Hi, this was taken at Mass Mocha. I just really like the squares and how it fell out and the light.
And A for number 41, Sleeping Dog by Marlene Schonbrunn.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for animals, and obviously against that blue structure, the blue wall was phenomenal. I have a few more of him, also with him awake, but I like this one better.
And A for number 71, Twin Towers Memorial by Richard Gold. Richard, unmute.
He's not here anymore.
Okay, this was taken on one of our field trips earlier this year.
Number 73.
A for number 73. I can't read the title.
Maine
Main fog.
Blue Fog.
Maine Blue Fog by Jill Grease. Jill?
Yeah, this was just a really moody evening walk along the Maine coast.
Okay, number 79.
And A, Venice Boat by Natalie Manzino.
That's just what it is.
Whoops. 82.
Number 82, White-necked Jacobin by Elliot Neerman.
Yeah, this is from Costa Rica. There's lots of hummingbirds, and they tend to go back and forth, and um, so they're hard to catch, but you can catch them in flight because they're going back and forth. And the background is the natural background, just blurred because it's all taken with a telephoto lens, and there's a good bit of separation to the background.
Next.
Okay. Oh, number 84.
And A, Silhouettes on the Beach by Chuck Pine. Originally, it was shot in straight color, and it was a silhouette, so I just turned the background blue.
89.
And number 89, A Drop of Water by Marlene Schoenbrunn.
So B&H used to have in-person workshops and presentations, and this was one of these workshops where they set up a thing of water dripping down and they colored the water. So this was blue, and you just try to get it when it's just getting in there, so it pops up the bubble, which I caught.
Okay, we'll now move to the A's with honors. Number 12, A with honors, Mandrill in Thought by Betsy Currier.
She isn't here.
Okay. A with honors, number 21, Legs.
Oh,
No, 19.
Oh, 19?
no.
No, that just got A.
19 didn't get honors.
No.
Natalie,
What happened?
Yeah, that one snuck in there somehow.
all right. Sorry. Well, let's.
So wait a minute, did he get A or?
He got an A.
So he should say something about it.
Well, he should, and he will.
Okay.
Wait, I'm really sorry. So this is not an honors image. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
That's apparently what we're saying.
Okay.
It's something Stars by Barry Farr.
And
Barry?
this was taken at the Holiday Light gathering at Time Warner Building, and I used a kaleidoscope filter in front of the lens and produced a really nice effect. I liked it.
Okay.
Okay.
A with on.
Wait a minute. Just wait a second. Let me turn the A's off. Okay.
A with honors, number 21, Legs by Florence Foreman.
Lawrence, would you unmute yourself? Lawrence? Okay, let's go on.
Okay, number 26.
A with honors, Baby Blue by Mike Iannuzzi.
So, in trying to meet the blue color challenge, this was the first photograph I took. Of the baby is 3 months old, and I was really happy with taking his photos.
It's great. It's great, Michael. I love it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Number 33, A with honors, Red-Legged Honey Creeper by Elliot Neerman.
This is another Costa Rica bird, and again, because it was asked about at the time, the background is just naturally blurred out because it was so far away with a telephoto lens.
A with honors, number 35, Deep in Thought by Chuck Pine. This was a model we had this past summer We went to shoot at that man-made beach along the West Side Highway. And she was just relaxing. And that was it.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Great.
Number 47.
Number 47, A with honors, Looking Up, Guggenheim.
This is
by
looking up.
Liz
Can you hear
Toledo.
me?
Laura Toledo.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, this is looking up in the book, the Guggenheim in Bilbao. So I just have a collection of them. I love that place. So that's that.
Nice.
Thank
Number
you.
63.
Number 63.
That's
Number 63, a men on fishing boats. by Eileen
Morocco.
Dix.
Yeah. Hi. Yes. Thank you. It was in Morocco in Esfaria a couple of years ago, and I love the scenes there, and I'm happy about this photo.
A with honors, Open Sky by Sonia Durante.
And this was taken at the Minneapolis Sculpture Garden. It was an enclosed sculpture. You walked in and you could look up, and I saw this and I thought that would make a nice shot.
It did.
Thanks.
And the image of the month, number 85, Menorah by Helen Pine.
So this was taken with my cell phone in my apartment every night. I turn out the lights in the dining room, and on this night, the menorah was all lit, and I saw this image, and I photographed it. I did take several shots to get the symmetry and to get wasn't too much in the foreground so that the whole mirror was included. But there it is. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Nice work, everyone.
Congratulations,
Um,
Helen.
Thank you.
Nancy, a great job. Some very
Yeah.
nice comments about
Here,
the
here.
images and how to
Yeah.
improve them.
Yes.
And
Yeah, wonderful comments.
Well,
Thank you for the hard work, the good
Yeah,
work.
thanks, guys. No, I love doing this kind of thing. It helps me, the more I see, the more it affects my next picture, It's great.
okay, thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Thank you to everyone who participated.
Thank you.
Try to keep warm, and we'll see you at our next activity. Be
And
well.
nobody should be blue about this
Yeah,
company.
no, and I want to say, I thought this was really fun. It was challenging, and I enjoyed that. It was a nice change of pace. So
You mean
Good
the
idea.
theme?
The theme,
You mean
yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
I agree.
Having a theme, yeah, is a good. I think it
when is our next theme?
April is our next theme, and the theme is portals, doors, windows, entryways, whatever.
Oh.
So we'll see you next week. Everybody stay healthy and enjoy the rest of New York
Thank
and
you,
the weather.
Nancy.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Late morning.
Good morning.
Good night.
Good night.
Good morning,
Morning,
Dave.
morning, Dave.
Cheers.